Only 210,000, huh?
Yeah, that'd be nice.
You're dreaming.
I like to dream.
I dream small.
Go back real quick.
What was that last number?
We'll get that 79.
79.5.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
569.
Got it.
You guys got the other
What do we
two?
got? So, under personnel, we talked about it on the last slide and or not the last slide, but the last presentation a little bit. And under wastewater, that we're gonna have to change staffing a little bit. We're gonna add a couple people. So our current authorized staffing, we have 6 full-time positions: a board clerk / accounts manager, account clerk, bookkeeper, director of utilities, utility operator 1, and utility worker. We have 3 part-time positions. Maybe not after tonight, but we have, as of this report, we have 3.
You might have 2.
General manager, fire chief, and assistant fire chief. The fire department is currently allotted 20 paid call firefighter positions. Based on previous board meetings when we discussed this same item, we're looking at reorganization of the utility personnel into 2 areas: field operators and wastewater treatment operators. The 2 additional wastewater treatment operators would be are proposed in this budget on a 6-month window. They would theoretically be hired around January 2020, depending on how far along we are. The goal is to have them, at least one of them, hired and on board before the construction of the treatment plant starts, so that they're familiar with it from the ground up, literally. Nearly all personnel work across all the different departments, so they're being paid out of multiple departments. All the office staff is paid by all the departments. Utilities is paid out of 4 out of the 5. Basically, the chart shown here, I don't know if you guys can read it, it's all fuzzy on this paper, but it shows the general breakdown of time spent in the different funds, which is how we come up with the standard split. The second one is what it would be proposed to be for the fiscal year 1920, with the inclusion of the 2 additional operators. So there's a slight difference in the utilities portion, and there's a slight shift in the office staff as far as their overall time in each fund. So the standard allocation is what we've been using essentially for the last decade to distribute joint expenses. So for things that are not specifically for one department or another, or for 1 or 2 departments together, if something is applied over all the departments, this is how it has been applied. The last several years, it's been 16.5% fire, 3% lighting, 40% wastewater, 40% water, and 0.5% solid waste. This is based on the slides previous to this, which showed the overall breakdown. It was the average of each department for that breakdown of the overall percentage, of the overall time, sorry. To account for the changes in workloads, the percentage should be updated. The breakdown is still based on the same overall percentage of salaries within the department versus salaries to the district. But the new proposed allocation would be 22% fire, 2% lighting, 36% wastewater, 38% water, and 2% solid waste. And those are the numbers that are actually used in the proposed budget for all the general expenses that are across all the funds. So the next part is all about capital projects. I don't know, maybe you guys want to do the fire part? I'll just read it.
16, page 16. He gets a break, I think.
So just in order to meet the needs of the growing population and the addition burden to the fire protection services, the San Miguel Fire Department is exploring options for expansion of its current fire station, allowing increase in staffing abilities. First of all, the district is currently and has experienced a constant influx of single-family home construction over the past 8 years. If you've noticed, between 16th Street and South Help and everything over Michael Street. In addition to single-family home construction, developers have proposals for multi-family housing projects in process with county planning. Continuous population growth will result in the demand of commercial projects to fulfill the need for the growth of the population, all of which will place an increased demand on the fire life safety services. Additionally, the CSD is discussing the option of relocating the daily admin operations to the new treatment facility. So one of our options in our facility plan with the development and changes at the sewer plant was possibly moving the CSD management and office operations over to that facility when we add new infrastructure to support that. And there was a basic discussion about the cost of doing it here, the cost of doing it there, and what was more beneficial to the district. What has been done so far, conceptual drawings have been developed by the staff, multiple concepts have been discussed. Infrastructure modifications to the current fire station CSD offices have been completed. Current fire station CSD offices have been completed. Items including completion of the fire sprinkler system, backup generator installation, mechanical system installation, and installing of the solar array system. So all that's been completed here at this facility. Review of the structure, construction, documentation and discussion of potential, did I say that right? Documentation and discussion of potential additions, modification and accessory structural required to fulfill the future needs of, for the community. Department staff have been in contact with local designers and builders to discuss potential designs for the construction costs. And what is the estimated cost for this budget cycle, and where is the fund from? Funded from, being that we are in a preliminary stages of the proposed project, actual costs are unavailable at this time. Potential grant funding and limited use of capital restricted funds would be the proposed funding source. So, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, so in a nutshell, we got options that we're gonna be moving forward to. It's gonna play a big part about the future, so that's where one of our meetings with the infrastructure and facilities comes in. And this is something that we gotta keep in the foreground to keep moving forward, but it's gonna start off knowing where your funds are gonna come from. Donnie?
So the next is the Machado wastewater treatment facility. As we're all aware, the district's under mandate by the state to increase the current capacity or upgrade the treatment plant to meet capacity that they predict by 2021. We're a little over a year into that, and we're making fairly good progress, in my opinion. But we have a very aggressive schedule to get to the point where we're actually meeting the mandate from the state. An engineering study was completed in January. The second part of that study should be to you guys next month, or definitely by June, for the recharge aspect of that study. CEQA compliance has been started and will be finished with the engineering drawings of the treatment plant. What's planned this budget cycle is through the engineering portion and the grant, complete the CEQA requirements, complete the construction drawings, and hopefully gain approval from the Water Control Board, APCD, and the county.
It's a lot.
So that's a pretty big task all by itself. The estimated cost of this budget cycle and where it's from. This budget cycle is anticipated that the engineering phase will cost $250,000, which is the same as grant. July 2018, after the 2018 protest period, the board approved rate increases to ensure enough funding to meet the daily operational expenses. The rate increase incorporated capital funds and debt service for the construction of the treatment plant. That was the $220,000 that we talked about earlier. Also in 2018, the district was advised that they were approved for an IRWM grant for disadvantaged communities, which was the $177,000 that we should be getting back next fiscal year, or costs this fiscal year for the engineering study and the groundwater study. And again, we applied for the $250,000, and we're really just waiting on final approval from DFA before we can start actually working on contracts for that engineering work. The 10th and 11th Street water main replacement. Everybody's familiar with that project. Basically, we have failing lines under the railroad tracks and under Mission Street that need to be addressed before they can become a huge issue. So far, we have plans that were approved through funding from the board. The survey was done, and we applied through CDBG, and recently we're advised that the County Board of Supervisors approved our inclusion in the overall CDBG grant. And again, we're just waiting on HUD to determine that our project is eligible and approve the overall package from the county. The overall estimated cost is $489,000 in today's dollars. The grant fund is $350,000, so there's still $139,000 potentially that the district would have to pay out of its pocket. The district is not able to pay $489,000, which is why we have not done yet. The SLT water main replacement. This is the line between SLT, San Luis Terrace tank, and Oak Drive. Had a catastrophic failure in 2018, and we're currently working with the developer of the adjacent property to incorporate the replacement into their overall plan. That is still moving forward. In the event that they do not move forward anymore, we will still have to replace that lane. Again, the board authorized funding to develop plans. Plans were developed almost through completion, but they will be modified to meet the incorporation of the housing tract that's going to go in if that actually does move forward. The property was surveyed, and most of the planning was done. This budget cycle, assuming that the track moves forward, we would be entering into the CEQA requirements and permitting through Fish and Game, or I guess actually was it the Navy?
Army Corps of Engineers.
Yeah, Army Corps of Engineers, thank you. Because it does cross two creeks that are blue line streams, more or less. Paper streams.
Navigable waters.
Yeah.
Navigable
Paper
water.
boat. Paper boat, navigable waters. The estimated replacement cost of that line is $250,000. Again, this would have to be funded from capital reserve. There is no clear funding for it at this point, but assuming that project fails and they determine that they are not going to build that housing tract, we will still have to replace that line. Magdalena water main replacement. Due to adjacent development on the adjacent development, the water main on Magdalena will need to be extended to River Road and existing line replaced prior to paving of Magdalena. This is partially due to the same housing tract that would essentially affect the SLT water line. Potentially, they will be paving Magdalena. If they pave Magdalena, it would be in the best interest of the district to extend the water line the extra 300 feet to the end of the street to River Road before they pave it, so that we don't have to come back and rip up the pavement and do that anyway. This would be the preliminary step in mitigating a water line that goes through the back of two properties without an easement. Basically, at this point, we're just in communication with the developer to determine a schedule and the impact to the district. This budget cycle, preliminary plans would be done and CEQA, permitting would be started. And potentially, this budget cycle, depending on the schedule of the developer, we could be putting in these water lines. These water lines would be essentially $200,000 and funded from the capital reserve. If that project doesn't go forward, there is really no need to put this line in at this time, other than that project. And my favorite page, the questions.
Okay.
Okay.
Here we go. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I would suspect that we would handle this the same way as the previous. We'll do it page by page. Questions from the board?
Do you wanna do it page by page or in whole? This is a little different.
Can we get a consensus on it? Is there a lot of questions or not? Is there any
A lot
particular
of questions?
areas?
I have some. I don't have any.
I think with this document, we can kind of do it as a whole,
Okay,
but,
I'm fine with that.
okay.
So why don't we do it this way? We'll do questions and comments from the board and then public comment